Welcome, everybody. Beautiful audience today. RobLive here in the studio. Back from 3 days of the flu. Jim, how you feeling?
I feel good. I think I feel better than you, though.
No, I feel good today. Today was a blessing. But I want to start today off a little bit special. Sometimes you'll find us dedicating episodes to people. Today's episode we want to dedicate to Virginia Lowe. I go to Koinonia Church, been there for 10 years in Hanford, viewers. And you have people at the church who their whole job is to greet you. They're greeters. And then if you're late like me all the time, sorry, Pastor, they seat you. And so I'm always coming in with the family, and we're always looking for a chair. And I feel Virginia's eyes on me all the time. She'll find us. She'll guide us in and get us a seat. And it's just nice to have that welcoming energy when you approach a church, because a lot of times when you're late, you know, sometimes people get a little judgy and like, you can't be on time for Jesus, right? But she always made us feel really good. And we had our Christmas Eve lighting ceremony. It's a beautiful thing. I'll put a link on it on YouTube for some of who want to see that. But right after our Christmas Eve service, this, was it the 24th? I should know that date, right? She left, and she was in a fatal accident on the way home from church. And so that was the last time we got to see her and be greeted by her. But Virginia, this episode's for you. Thank you for being a kind soul. Thank you for being so warm. For Virginia's family out there, understand she's touched a lot of lives, and that she will be a permanent part of my life. Today, Pastor Roger Watson talked about carrying on the legacy of Virginia in our own actions, in our own lives. And the way I plan to do that is to make sure that I greet and make people feel welcome wherever I may be. With that being said, I would like to welcome Doug Reitz.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Sorry I had to end on start on such a deep note. I guess the weird part is I didn't warn you. I didn't warn him. I was like, hey, we're going to go deep, right? Viewers, you guys got blindsided too. I apologize. But sometimes when you feel it, you just got to go with it. But on to Doug. He's like, well, that was heavy.
That's a great way to start off. It's a great message.
Thank you. So with you, there's so many places to start, but I want to just start with the obvious, right? Timeout.
We're going to start with that.
He goes straight to that.
Straight to
straight
Timeout.
to that.
Right. We're not even going to warm up on this. I'm excited.
Not that he's an author, not that he's a dad, not that he's everything. Yeah, straight up on Timeout.
Timeout. I'm like the team.
And people don't even know who maybe Timeout is.
Yeah, no,
right?
we're gonna give a point of reference. Right. For those who are not watching in the Central Valley, because I know we have viewers, subscribers in Ireland now, right?
Yeah.
Give it, Jim. Let's give him the DJ.
We're like
Ireland. We're international, Jim.
Yeah.
But for those who are not watching in the country or from the Central Valley, we have our like iconic university here, Fresno State University. And Fresno State University mascot is the bulldog. And so growing up, like the mascot of the Central Valley that all kids loved and followed and hugged and tugged at,
yep.
And I'm sure you have a lot of stories, was Timeout, the bulldog mascot for Fresno State. And Doug, you did that for a while, right?
Did that for 2 years, from 88 to 90.
That is amazing. So now we're just going to Tarantino it and go back.
Okay.
Right? We jumped because I was excited, but we're going to go back. And we're going to start with, originally, are you from the Central Valley?
Yeah, born and raised in Fresno. Grew up first in Gettysburg. The weird thing is, all my education actually occurred within 1 square mile.
See, that's beautiful.
Thomas, Tioga, Hoover, Fresno State.
Hoover Patriots. I love that. So I love their outfits when they were, I don't know if you did the marching band.
Oh, yeah.
But the marching band had the full-on George Washington kind of look, the Patriot with the hat.
Knickers.
Yeah, I love that look.
So I was in the drum line
oh, that's
all the way
right.
through.
We're both drummers.
Yeah.
So, you guys know RobLive was a drummer. Jim, we're going to bring the set on one of these days and show off the skills. Did you know I was a drummer?
Yeah, you bring it up every now and then. Yeah. I avoid it. Well, you know, I was a saxophonist too. I mean, geez.
You were
all the saxophones around here.
You did play, huh?
I didn't
Big
play
music.
Anywhere like Kenny G, but
Can you still?
I could make a noise. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna jam live in the very near future. Jim's gonna get out his old rusty reeds. Can we? Does that play? Can you play us?
No, that's a C melody sax. That's actually an antique.
So do you have it? Your real one from high school?
Yeah, I do. I never sold it. Yeah.
Break it out. We're gonna do something.
We're gonna lose so many subscribers, dude.
No, you're gonna do Kenny G, and I'm gonna be the drummer boy, right?
All right.
Anyway, sorry, Doug, we got lost. So
All
you're in
good.
the drum line.
Was in the drum line. Went to Fresno State. I was in the drum line there too.
Okay, wait, you were in the drum line for Fresno State, and you were timeout.
Yep. So
How did you, with a football game, like how does that work?
well, I had to stop doing the drum line when I became timeout.
Oh,
but
you had to give it all up.
had to give that up. But it was a great experience because I love drumming. And
Yeah.
there was a guy that said, hey, you should really try out for timeout. And I gave it a shot. My girlfriend at the time was going to try out for the cheer squad.
But did you have prior Mascot experience?
None.
What
None.
compelled you to? What did he see in you?
The people that I had known, I was fairly animated at the time, being a drummer, being out in front.
Yeah.
It was fun performing. And the first year I was timeout, it was difficult because it wasn't me. I had to, nobody knew I was in the suit.
Yeah.
So when we tried out, it was a outside of the box thing for me to do. I'd never done anything like it. And I had a really good, Todd Snedden was the guy who asked me to be, maybe you should try out for this. I guess I did a good job, and pretty soon I'm in front of 38,000 people down on the
my
field,
God.
holding the sign up, having people. If you've ever heard 38,000 people yell "Go" and dogs on each side of the stadium, it is one of the most amazing experiences you could ever have.
I would imagine it's like being like a performer, like a celebrity on stage at a concert, leading the crowd.
Yeah, you're almost like a conductor with some of the crowd members because you point and they yell. Like, where did I pick up
Like,
that?
what is this
The
wand?
power
Yeah.
in the hand. Yeah.
But the best part of it
Yeah.
was that was really cool. The places I got to go, the people that I got to meet, but the kids. You get down on one knee, the little kids come up to you, they give you a hug, they want to shake your hand. Some of them are scared, and you build a little bit of a relationship with them, and pretty soon they come out of their shell and they want to talk to you. But I couldn't talk. It all had to be through actions.
Oh, timeout doesn't speak, right? Okay, so I would imagine you get more interaction at a basketball game than football because you're right up on the court, right?
That's one of the best. There was a lady who had a severe disability, and she was in a wheelchair. She couldn't talk. She couldn't do anything but come and watch the game. And every game I'd go visit her, and she'd get a little smile on her face. That was the best part. Those are the memories that I take with me now. It was fun traveling, seeing the football games, hearing the cheer, but it was the people that I got to see every game. Inman Perkins, I don't know if you remember Inman or not.
No.
He was one of the big, he was an alumni cheered. He just passed away in the last couple of years, but just a great fan. And he would get up and lead cheers. I'd get up there with him. And we became friends over the years. He's just a fantastic individual.
Wow. Man, okay, so the tryout was, can you tumble? Can you dance? Can you, like, what they put you through? And who were the judges?
Man, you're taking me way back now. I hadn't thought about this in a long time. So Timeout puts it was the judges, former timeouts, the coach,
So you got
that kind
the
of
whole
stuff.
lineage of
Yeah.
timeouts.
And I had to do a dance. Well, I've never done a dance before.
What was
they
your
coached
song?
me through.
Everybody dance now. That's what I'm picturing.
I don't even remember that. No, it was the William Tell Overture because you had to do that at the basketball games.
Dun, 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 dun. No, is that the one?
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so that was the big thing.
Yeah.
We had to string like Pee Wee Herman, front and back, just different dances. The mashed potato. You would do all those and put them into a line.
But did they run you through it first?
Yeah, they taught us a little bit of what because timeouts.
And how many timeouts were there? Girls, guys.
There
and
were
girls?
two. It was mostly guys. I think there may have been one female later on in the 90s. But
I mean, that when you were competing for this position.
oh yeah, no, it was all guys.
But how many guys did you have to compete
I think
with?
there were 5
Wow.
at the time, and the competition itself was about personality and being larger than life.
Are you at a dance studio or?
No, in the North Gym at Fresno State.
Okay.
So we had the whole gym that we had to go through.
I would guess that you did not have any uniform on. You had to do it in your clothes.
No, they had okay.
Because I had to perform. I was mascot in my high school,
yeah, Jim was
and
a
I had to do it in
Mascot
my
talk.
clothes.
So we went through training without the suit on.
Yeah.
I'm not a claustrophobic guy, but when you put that head on and everything is right here and it's all hot
Darth
air
Vader.
and there is no, it was odd the first time I got in that suit. Yeah.
Does it have a little fan in there?
Nope.
Wow.
It's all a big foam head. I would lose 5 to 7 pounds every game.
Was that
sweating?
Were you sweating too?
Oh, all the time.
I wore the Golden Bear because we're the
Okay.
Sierra Pacific High School Golden Bears. I wore it once for a soccer what's it called, soccer Valley Championship game, and I was like, we don't have a mascot tonight. And they're like, no. I said, where's the suit? And they're like, ASB's like, we got it. We don't have any. I go, give me that suit.
And you pass out after 10 minutes of being in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought of you when I
Yeah.
did. I was, hey, what's going on? Why is he on the ground?
So what was the suit they gave you?
It was the actual timeout suit that they have 2 suits.
Oh my God.
And you have 2 timeouts. One does the women's sports, one does the men's sports. So your first year, you're doing women's sports. And that's kind of where you learn the ropes. But every timeout has to kind of walk the same, do the cheers the same, because you're supposed to be the same guy.
Same. That's right.
So we had to learn how to walk like timeout, point, cheer, do signs, all that
I
stuff.
feel like timeout kind of had a little jig.
Swagger,
Right,
yeah.
a swagger. Like confidence.
Mhm.
I like that.
It was George Jefferson. Okay, that's you kind of
Moving
lean
on.
back, your arms are swinging,
That's
taking
right.
big steps. That's the way it was described to us. Yeah.
He said, you're George Jefferson.
Uh-huh.
And the crowd is wheezy. So, okay, wow. Okay, so now you do the thing. And then when did they tell you? Like right away you know it's you, or they
Yeah.
sent out a list?
No, it was right after that. They said that's kind of the sad story. My girlfriend tried out for the cheer squad. I tried out for timeout. She didn't make it. I did make it. We ended
Oh.
up breaking up.
Just,
Not because of that.
I was gonna say.
I just like telling that story.
She's like, tell it right. Wow.
So, found out right away. But you try out in April, May, so you've got June, July, August to kind of.
Now, do you have to be anonymous and be like, hey,
Yep.
you can't talk to people? So no, you can tell anyone.
Mm-mm. My parents knew, and my close friends knew. The ones that were in band, they knew I wasn't in band anymore.
Yeah.
They knew I was there. But no, you would show up with this big bag 2 hours before the game. You walk in. One of the coolest things is I got to hear Jim Sweeney giving his
Oh
pep
my
talks at
God.
halftime before the game, because I was changing.
Was this the
athletic
Freedom
league.
Bowl era?
No, Freedom Bowl was after.
Right after.
This is during all the California Bowl,
okay.
the Raisin Bowl, whatever it
Jim
was.
Sweeney. Who was your QB at the time? Was it? It wasn't Kevin Sweeney, right?
Kevin was there when I was in band, but I don't remember who the quarterback was when I was timeout.
That was you said 92?
88 to 90.
88 to 90.
And I got there in 86. So
Wow.
I don't remember right off. That's a
Now,
long time ago.
do you have your own dressing room, or how does that work?
No, you get to go into the training room and you change. So the trainers know who you are. The trainers really helped out.
Okay.
Because I'm losing so many fluids. They would take me back up. Tom Kane was running. He was the one running all the operations. He'd get me in a golf cart, run me back up. Because you're starting games, it's 100, 105 out.
That's right.
And you're in that suit. So the whole athletic department, everybody was so wonderful, taking care of timeout and making sure we had everything we needed.
Yeah, because you're an iconic figure, and the kids love you. Now, do you lead the run out to the field? Is that you, or
No.
what does timeout do on the run when they come out the
I would
gate?
stand at the very end and I would high five the football players. And I don't remember who it was, but I learned a lesson. I would put my hands up like this and they would high five me, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had one of the big linemen come up and hit my hands, and it pushed my hands back into my head and about knocked me loopy.
Oh, my
He hit me
God.
so hard.
Well, he's pumped. and he's-
I didn't do that anymore. I made sure my hand was out here.
Well,
but-
did you build any relationships with players along the way that you can recall?
Not so much the players, but a lot of the trainers
Yeah.
and the support staff. We didn't get to hang out with the players much, but it was all about the people on the periphery. Like I said, Tom Kane, still talk to him to this day.
Wow.
And just a wonderful individual.
Did you work out routines with the cheer squad, or how did you did you have a routine you were choreographed, or how did it work?
So timeout was very individual. He would not do routines with the cheer squad. He would do the signs. He was off.
Yeah,
doing
he's
his
George
own
Jefferson.
thing. Yeah,
He's moving on up,
Yeah.
and so that made it easy for you to ad lib and
yeah, because that was not my strong suit. it wasn't learning dances and that
Oh,
kind of
okay.
thing.
But the
getting out
ad-libbing was.
amongst the crowd, talking to people.
Okay,
that was
see,
great.
so I just want to share this with you right now, and I think Jim kind of knows this too. You're an educator, correct? Or at one time you were?
I have taught at Fresno State. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, wow, higher learning. So right, we read the crowd sometimes, right?
Yes.
So my big thing with RobLive actually becoming live, and I've told Jim it's a logistic nightmare for him. He's like, what if something goes? But I want a live crowd because that's where I feel like I excel, is reading and feeling the energy.
Yes.
Now I've never felt like 70,000 people's energy. I think it would be overload. But just the room and reading the room and feeding off of that, I think would give me an added mojo out here.
So when you're teaching, you get that from the kids.
Yeah.
Not it's classroom full of kids, but you get that energy back. If you're doing,
If you've lost them or not.
Yeah.
And what was your most successful bit where you just got the crowd just going?
There's two. And I love doing the William Tell Overture because back in the day, this is when Ron Adams was there. Boyd Grant had just finished it, in Selland Arena.
Boyd Grant.
And
wow.
Yeah, way back.
Yeah. Bernard Thompson? Was that Bernard Thompson era?
Yeah, it was.
He was one of my favorite guy back, number 34.
Yeah, man.
Bernard Thompson. Yeah.
So
Selland Arena.
The last 2 minutes, if we were behind, the band would play William Tell Overture, and I would go out and do that dance, and I'd end with either a flip or a slide right to center court.
Full flip in costume.
I'd land on my butt because with those big feet and that big head, you can't do a full
That's
flip.
what
There's
I'm
no
saying.
way. There's
But
no
are
way.
you padded? Like
A little bit.
okay.
Not enough.
You're just taking a
not
hit
enough.
to the wow.
So
So you had to be an athletic guy.
yeah,
Did you play sports growing up?
played baseball all the way through.
What was your position?
Catcher.
Okay, yeah. Oh, so you're squatting the whole time.
Oh yeah. So
I have a special respect for catchers.
I loved going to all the sports and being able to watch them, get out on the field, be a part of it. After playing sports for so many years, that was a really neat change.
Good transition.
And then the last game, you have to do a reveal. So you've kept it a secret for 2 years, and in the middle of Selland Arena, with all the lights on you, they say, go ahead and reveal yourself. And they said, I want to thank Doug Reitz for doing this for the last 2 years. I take my head off in center court of Selland Arena.
Wow.
And it was just a really.
Was there a bunch of people who didn't know, who were just learning that? It was like the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
Did people come up to you later and be like, Doug, you got me, bro. I had no idea.
We thought you were on the football team with a big old bag.
I knew it.
Yeah, the people that did know were very supportive, and they kept their mouth shut. In fact, one of them that I had met maybe you should interview her coming up too. Catherine Weekland is with the Boys and Girls Club of Fresno.
Oh,
and I met her.
they
She was
do
working in the
great
athletic
work.
department back in the day, and we've kept that relationship going. That's another one that she does fantastic work here in town.
Wow. Now, do you ever go back to judge as a former timeout?
I did for about the first 5, 6, 7 years.
And what were you looking for?
Energy. And it's
Energy.
basically what we're looking in, owning a company now, the people that we're looking at hiring, it's the same thing. Do you have the drive? Do you have the energy? Are you interested? Are you curious? Do you want to do better? Those are the things you're looking for.
Young folks, did you guys hear that? We're not looking to see. Where's my phone at? Is my phone here?
That's good that you put your phone away.
Yeah, there it is.
Right?
This is not impressive, right?
No.
They're not looking for this, folks. Everybody can do this. We're looking for special things, like Doug was saying, the energy, right? The soft skills, the ability to connect with other people, right?
Yep. And I didn't realize, now that you got me thinking about this, when you were telling the story about Virginia,
Yeah.
being a mascot, being anybody, you have to be able to connect with people.
Yeah.
And
They can feel it.
They can.
It's because you more than anybody, and I tell my students at school this all the time, you're speaking all the time. You just don't know it. And they're like, what do you mean? Your body language, the crossed hands or the standoffishness. We're feeling it, but part of it is what we're seeing physically.
Mm-hmm.
So you could never speak verbally.
Mm-mm.
So you had to be a master of body language.
The people, and I don't know if I was a master or not, but it worked out. I had some really great people teach me how to do it.
Yeah.
And my dad would go to every game and he would videotape me.
Oh my
And
God, we gotta see the tapes.
Oh, I could go back and find them.
Is there a
probably.
YouTube channel?
Should I do a YouTube channel with just Timeout?
Do you know
from
how big that
88?
would be?
We got to talk, Doug.
I would be your first subscriber.
That would be like VHS having to get converted.
I've always said, because I have 4 YouTube channels plus these that we work on, but I always said it's your genealogy for your family.
Yeah,
It's literally everything. Your daughter's wedding. Your all these things that you want to surprise your grandchildren with of your life.
Yeah.
Is now becoming a YouTube channel.
Well, you know what's funny about that is along the way, I don't know if this happens to you, but my kids, right? They're doing something cool. I put it on the channel. We have their own little family channel, right?
Oh, okay.
Dad, right? But then during vacation or downtime, I catch them watching the channel. And I'll be like, what are you guys watching? Didn't you tell me to put it away? And like, oh, you know, and they're watching themselves at 3 and 4. I will never have that. But, you know, we need a Timeout channel.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have to pull those
that'd be cool,
VHS
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the point of the video, I could go see what worked and what didn't work and what I thought I looked like
Studying film.
versus. So we were studying film. Yeah.
And did your dad have tips?
He did because he was a salesman. He's out and he loves talking to people, telling jokes. And so I'm gonna go way back for a second.
Yeah.
As I was growing up, my dad and my mom, as outgoing as they were, my mom would call and for bingo for the band to raise funds.
Oh,
right?
B4. Like,
Yes. So my dad would call bingo. My mom would call to get people to work bingo.
oh, okay.
I was so shy growing up. I couldn't even call to order a pizza.
Timeout was shy?
Oh man, I don't know what it was. I was scared to death of engaging with other people. So to come from that, going into a youth group, I kind of learned how to speak in front of people.
Yeah.
But I was scared to death. I would not do it. I would avoid it. And my dad would try to get me to do it. And I go, no. And I go run to my room. So where that clicked was in youth group, but where it really clicked was being Timeout, to be able to get out and amongst. It was at in Santa Barbara at a cheer camp where we would go learn to do things.
Yeah.
And there's all these cheerleaders across the other side of the Santa Barbara pool in that complex. And I had to do a routine. And
That you had rehearsed or?
that this is where I learned to be yourself instead of being what other people think you should be.
Yeah.
So Timeout was somebody who did signs and who got the crowd involved. All the other mascots were either like Disney mascots or they would perform a dance. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there with my sign, but instead of go dogs, I'm going to have an ooh on one side and an ah on the other side. And I split the crowd in two, and one side was ooh and one side was ah. And these are college kids, right? So they're going to have fun with it. And I was like a conductor. I was just being myself. I would bring it up and I would bring it down and I would go, you got it. See, you're good at that. And in the end, I went, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, ah.
The drummer kicked in.
And they kept doing it, and I did a little bit of a dance, and I ended up winning. But the first year I was there, I tried to do a dance. I wasn't being myself. I was being what they wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And so that really clicked, and I'm like, you know what? This is fun. I can just be myself in the suit and still be Timeout. And that's where things started to shift, where I liked getting up to speak. I liked coaching. Now I'm speaking up and down California on construction and schools and everything else. But you look back to that 6th grade Doug who wouldn't get up and say a word.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
I'm glad you talked about being yourself. Jim, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before because I tend to repeat things. And he's like, yeah. But I watch a guy, Gary V. You ever? Gary V has this one little snippet he does. For the viewers who don't know Gary V, he's on a lot on Instagram, but YouTube as well. Mm-hmm. His last name I want to say is Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Vaynerchuk. And he's wrote a lot of great books. One's called Crushing It. But he does a lot of those snippets, inspirational stuff. And one of the things he talks about was people starting a podcast. And at the time he said, I keep hearing, he says, and he's always got a little frustrated on edge, mm-hmm. right? Because he says, and he's always using the F word.
He does that
I can't use him in class, but he's like, I keep effing hearing people saying that we shouldn't start a podcast because so many people already have them. He's like, so what makes you different? And he goes, I'll tell you what makes you different. There is only one you on this planet. Mm-hmm. You cannot be replicated. So as long as you go on camera as yourself, you will by default be original. It's when we get on camera and try to be someone else that we lose them, because they're like, I'm not buying that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's him. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
And so I think one of my goals, and I think Jim's just naturally like that anyway, but when we get on camera, we're like, okay, I want to have the same tone and conversational approach that I had off camera when we were speaking. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Nothing's changed, I hope, is what I want. Because I never want to be the guy, and this has happened to me. So I don't know how many podcasts you've done or whatever, but I've been on like the news or whatever interviews, because I used to try to promote this library I was trying to do. A lot of media stuff, right?
Mhm.
And they're off camera. And again, I get it. It's their job or whatever. Like they maybe, oh, hey, what's up? And then the camera, hey, how you guys doing? John, it's great to see you. I'm like, what happened to this man's energy? And then after the camera, and cut. All right, bro, see. Right?
It's funny because being in the media, same thing, but do the opposite. We're interviewing somebody, excuse me, and they're talking to the reporter and they're getting, they're just doing the back and forth chat. And as soon as I'll put the camera up on the tripod and I'll put the microphone on them and stuff like that, it's like now they know that they have to be in the professional level. So now they're proper. They're sitting up. They're looking at you, adjusting their own tie or crotch, whatever they want to adjust. But now it's proper. Now it's like, okay.
Wait, did you say tie or crotch?
Or crotch, whatever they need to adjust, right? But sometimes they're not telling us the exact same story that they were repeating 5 minutes ago. So that energy, that sadness or that excitement, it's like, hey, you just won the lottery. Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to start helping my family out and everything. But when the camera's on them, we're like, yeah, we're excited. We're very excited. We're gonna put our money towards whatever. It's like, no, I want that same energy that you had before. So my reporter and I kind of had this thing. If you ever do this in the media, watch out. But we would put the mic on first. The camera's down on the ground recording.
Oh.
Now I'm getting everything else ready because all we need is the audio. I could add video of the award of them winning the lottery later.
Yeah.
So I was always recording that energy first, and then later on, if I need it, I could still put the camera on the tripod, and now they're acting like. But we want that first part of it. So it's the opposite sometimes.
That's why he's the show producer.
Right? So
that's why he makes the big. Oh wait,
no, I don't make any bucks.
No, the first couple of podcasts I was on, talking about the book, talking about just business, because I did a business transition. I purchased a company from the founder of Mark Wilson Construction, right? So they said,
Big
Doug, tell us
moves.
about that. Well, I did exactly that. I felt like I had to say the right words and I had to be the person they wanted me to be so the podcast would sound professional.
Yeah.
Sitting here with you, man, it's just comfortable talking about different things. I've never done a podcast on me doing Timeout either, but
you haven't?
No,
Yeah.
no
one
nobody's ever
talks
asked.
about
No.
Timeout. What?
See,
We're first.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I was okay.
But I when we were talking about that, I wanted to make sure that he's more of a man in what he needs to provide to us than just being a timeout.
No, we're gonna get to it. No,
he's done a lot of success.
a lot of the lessons from Timeout
Yeah.
apply so much to what we're doing in business. And so it does. That's a really good thing to start off on. I've never done it before, but that was
Let's start with
actually
Timeout.
good for you.
Well, no, this is what's funny. You guys missed this, viewers. You're off camera. Some great stuff happens off camera sometimes. So Jim's like, bro, he's an author. He's an accomplished businessman. He's been a professor at Fresno State. And you're excited about Timeout. And I was like,
And you went right to it,
I
too.
guess
You're a celebrity.
wait,
in
did
our
that
house,
happen on camera with that part you said, or that was off camera?
What part?
When you were pointing out all these things he did, and I jumped straight to Timeout.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it was on camera.
Oh,
I
no,
think
like,
so,
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought the camera was on.
Sorry.
He snuck it in.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just finish with the last Timeout moment. Squid Games. You ever watch Squid Games?
I have not. Everybody
Okay.
tells me I need to watch it, but I haven't watched it.
Do you know the premise?
Eh.
Okay, so super broke, down on their luck people, they recruit them to play this game. And it's a series of kids' games, challenges, but they're life or death.
Oh, wow.
And whoever ends in the last survivor wins billions, right? But you got to survive to the end. Now, they don't realize it's life or death until they're already on this island, right? It's trapped. Anyway, they show some of the down and out part of these people's lives to begin with. So on Squid Game's the second season, which is now Netflix, I better get some royalties on this. The first or second episode, there's a girl who's a mascot, right?
Oh.
And I don't know if this happened to you either, but she's a mascot. And it's kind of this. She's in a parade, and she's a really cute bunny rabbit, right? But there's all these random mascots, and then they have the dressing room, and all the mascots are in there, cigars, drinking, whatever. The heads are off, and there's this little girl who loves mascots, and somehow she breaks free from her dad and finds the dressing room, and she comes in, and as she's coming in, they spot her. Everybody puts their hats back on, right? Because you want to keep up. You don't want to shock the kid. So everything's safe, and they're in there, and then they're like, "Hi, you doing great, right?" So it's still, the image is still there. And then one guy who's off duty doesn't see the kid, and he comes in, and his head's off, and he's got a cigar. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, you guys?" And the little girl sees him. So have you ever had a kid like catch you without the head?
I had a crowd catch me without my head. So you've heard of Break the Barriers here in town?
Oh wait, are they the dance, the
Able
halftime?
and disabled, both.
And they perform. Yes, I saw them.
Wonderful group. Timeout would have one basketball game that we would perform with Break the Barriers.
Yes.
So I went over for weeks ahead. And
I was
started
at that
practicing
game
team.
about 2 years ago.
Okay, so they're still doing it, right?
Save Mart Center.
Wonderful organization. And so I didn't do just the one. They said, "Hey, do you want to do these other performances?" I said, "Sure." So we were at Fresno State out in the quad, and Break the Barriers was a crowd all over the place. And they have a tumble track. So I would go down the tumble track, and I would end up doing a backflip off the tumble track at the end of it.
Is the head secured?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I wish I would have asked myself that before I did that backflip. It was attached in the back. It wasn't attached in the front. So when I threw my head back, the head flops off, but it's dangling right back here. You can hear the crowd gasp like I lost my head. Oh, it was very revealing.
good.
Yeah.
And then just quickly
Put it back on,
recover.
went right back to it. It was good. But yeah, in the middle of a backflip, the head comes off.
And then they
Whoa.
review you at the end of, "Oh, this is Doug Reitz," and you're like, "Oh yeah, we already knew."
It was good.
Viewers, if you ever plan to be a performer, take note from Doug. The show must go on. So never stop in the middle of a routine, even if you make a mistake, because the audience doesn't always know, unless you lose your head. But, when you're doing a dance routine or whatever, nobody knows unless you freeze up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what the next move was anyway.
I had no idea.
Were you able to modify the uniform at all?
No. Well, we would do shorts and shirts and, different things like that. But
So my helmet, I had the Cardinal. I was the Rossi Cardinal for 1 year. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
My football coach was livid that I didn't play football. But anyways, it kept falling off. I'd walk by a wall and accidentally my beak would hit the wall and it would turn my head.
Wait, were you
like
a
an owl.
mystery?
No. Well, you're supposed to be.
Every
but
new
everyone
big
knew.
red.
Yeah. And but I actually took a hard hat, construction hat,
oh,
and we Velcroed it up in there. My mom did, and then I had a chin strap. And
we
so I was able to keep it
Keep your head
on.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I wanted, my influence was the gorilla basketball, the Suns.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That was my influence to be a mascot. So it was to see he was dunking, backwards, flipping, doing everything. And I
Yeah.
was like, I want to do that. Well, then here are your leotards and here's your leggings. And I'm like, I can't do that with that. But yeah, that was just wondering if you could do any altercations with it or have microphones that they're talking to you like the football players. Or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
no,
that. So,
we were old school back in the day.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
But I do want to give you one that, and because you talked about it's all about recovery.
Yeah.
And my daughter came to me one day and said she wanted to sing the national anthem at the racetrack. My son did flat
Oh.
track racing, right? And I'm like, oh, hon, that's a really hard song to sing. But here's this YouTube thing. Go listen to it and see what you can do. Well, she came back. She learned it, and I didn't know my daughter could sing. This is when she was like, 10?
She's
And-
10 years old and she wants to go in front of a crowd
And sing the national anthem.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was singing the national anthem quite a bit at a lot of different events. And she ended up getting invited to sing at a Supercross in Oakland.
wow.
So she sang in front of 40,000 people, right? Went and did that. It was great. Well, she comes back to a high school game at Liberty High, and she had to go sing the national anthem for a football game in front of all of her friends. And her voice cracked on the high note right at the end. That girl recovered right on through, no tears, no nothing. And that's the one thing that I'm really happy that both the kids, they know how to recover. They realize it's just a blip
man.
in time.
Yes.
And I think that would serve so many people well. Man, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
It is not the end of the world when you make a mistake. I've made plenty of them. It feels horrible in the moment,
Yeah.
but that's just something to build on and learn and grow and do something different the next time.
Hence the book.
So
hence the book.
hence the book.
We're going to get to that because I have so many questions.
But your statement, it's really powerful when you know how to keep going and push through adversity and not worry about what people think.
Yeah.
And show them that you've got what it takes to keep moving forward. That's huge.
No, you're right. And you know what? We also talk about this at schools, this imaginary audience, right? Because here's the thing. When you're in high school, and I tell my high schoolers this, so this isn't anything I'm not saying behind their back, but we're so self-absorbed in high school that whatever little silliness or embarrassing moment you had, you think the whole high school's like, written it down and going to bring it up the next day, and they're not worried about it because their life has moved on.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids, a lot of you guys, you're stressing about things that nobody remembers. So the quick story is the white pants story. I wore white pants to school. It was muddy. I didn't think it through, and the quad was slippery. I slipped, fell. What's that? The snowman pose in white pants. The whole quad watched this happen, and I remember the slow motion, right, watching it, everything. And I get up, and it looks like diarrhea. There's no other way.
Oh, wow.
And of course, in the moment, everybody's like, laughed. And I did that whole thing where you kind of lay there for a second, hoping that maybe you're just going to sink into the ground, right? A helicopter's coming, whatever. You get up real slow, kind of walk it off, and just disappear into the distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed home the next day. Why? Because I was sure that everyone was waiting back at school for me to talk about how I slipped in the mud, right? I was the spectacle of the school. So I stayed home that day, didn't sleep that night, stressed, thinking about how my life's going to be different now that I'm the mud boy or whatever name they came up with. So I get to school the next day. And remember, I was like a freshman at the time, so I wasn't very popular. Nobody really knew me, right? And so I'm reading everybody's eyes in the hallways and in my class to see who's going to bring it up first, right? Because I'm that important.
Right.
Nobody brought it up. Nobody remembered. And I was like, I lost sleep and skipped a day of school because of my imaginary audience that nobody ever brought it up once after that. No.
It has to be, though, and you're probably lucky. Nowadays, social media, taking pictures, and now you're all over the internet.
Viral. You would have been viral.
But even then, it's swipe right, swipe. The most viral videos last a couple days.
And that's it. Yeah.
The most. So, yeah, it'll be a day, but that's it, right? And so, to me, to have my life dictated, my decisions dictated by this fear is so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I never got back on stage. Why? Because the one time I was on stage, the kid in the third row with the red hair laughed at me.
Yeah.
In 1972. Bro, you're 40 years old now. You can get on stage. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we have to let kids in on the secret that imaginary audience doesn't exist.
It does not. And there have been so many times, whether it's playing in band, you screw up.
Yeah.
You think everybody saw you
Everybody
screw
heard
up.
it's over.
You stepped the wrong direction. Yeah, okay, even in business right now, the mistakes that I've made, going back and admitting them and saying to your team, hey, I really screwed this one up. This is what I learned from it, and this is what I'm going to do different in the future. Instead of letting it just kind of fester in the corner and everybody's wondering what's going on. When you can do that as a leader or as a coach or a mentor, people realize that you're leading by example. It's okay to make a mistake. You can apologize for it. You can learn from it. The worst word right now that I'm really trying to change at the company is I failed.
I failed.
Okay. Yeah, you did. You failed at that task. You didn't fail at life. You didn't fail in culture. You didn't fail in your heart. You just didn't get that thing done. Yeah, but I let you down. Okay. Well, what are you going to do different next time that happens? Because you are going to fail again. So failure is only a bad thing if you don't change something and do something different in the future. I don't think with all the social media, with all the Zoom, the people wanting to hide their faces and not interact with people right now, That's one of the biggest problems. I have people that would rather text than call, right?
That bothers me so much.
Pick up the phone, walk over and talk to them. They're 3 offices down, and you're texting them, man.
Wow.
Work it out. And so that's the culture we're trying to build. And with the whole COVID thing, it was hard. People do want to stay home. They want to avoid conflict. And conflict in its productive manner is one of the best things you can have. That's where the best ideas come from.
But I think you have to have the right culture, right?
Totally do.
Because I think that in some work environments, conflict is like almost taboo. Like, no, we can't have a difference. And I'll give you an example. Like at school, sometimes when there's a difference of opinions in the room, I don't know why I do this, but I always read the body language of the people in the room, not just the two interacting, but how's everyone else responding to that conflict? And a lot of the older guys and gals, I kind of respect, their body language doesn't change. It's like, they'll hash it out. They don't make it bigger than it is. Right? It's when you carry it outside of that room. Can you believe what freaking Doug said? Oh my God. That, right? No, you tell Doug to his face what you felt about it. He'll tell you. But here's the thing. We have to have the trust that we're going to let it go. You know what I mean? I had an argument with a friend last Friday, right?
Yeah, it was very short.
Yeah, he was there.
I was there.
And the argument was about, I was asking him to get on the podcast, which is, he didn't want to be on the show, and that's fine. And maybe I was just being ultra sensitive to it, but the response wasn't just, I don't want to be on your podcast, but like, I'm here and your podcast is there, right?
Yeah.
And that triggered me, right? You were there.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, dude, like, that's fine if you want to be on it, but, what we're doing is real and it's serious. And I apologize because I kind of went after him right after it, right? Because I was like, because poor Jim just happened to be there and he called me right after. And I'm like, Jim, we got to be real on this. Like, dude, are you ashamed of what we're doing here? Like, you got to be excited about it, right? Because I was feeling like maybe his energy wasn't there. And so in response, he called you. He called me like a day later.
I was like, you know what?
I was a second.
No,
that's cool, man.
I knew when I saw you on Facebook promoting your book. I was like, because we just had who was a Hispanic lady that wrote about her life crossing over the border. What was her name? Oh shoot, she wrote a book about being in school and not knowing English enough.
Yeah.
And so she wrote this book. And so when I saw you promoting it on Facebook, I was like, there's a local guy right here. What I used you for, though, was not that you're a great person on the show. It was just a matter of time, and that clicked me to say, you know, Robert, son of a biscuit, I'm going to call somebody that I know is going to redeem myself for you thinking that I'm not happy about the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, now I got about 5 other people on my list too.
No,
His wife's one of them. So I mean, yeah,
we set him on fire. But I guess what I was getting back to on that, I kind of lost my point there. But I think it had to do with this whole idea that that exchange that we had between us, with the guy we're talking about. I don't want to throw him out on camera. At some point, we have to let that go, resolve that.
Yeah.
And it was funny is like I love. There's this text group of friends, and I love all of them. I even love the guy I'm upset with. And I think he knows that. We did a little thing where I do the prayer every week. I write in the prayer.
Yeah, there was a lot of names on that list you gave me. So
I put him first.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You didn't even put your own name down there.
Well, I don't pray for myself. Like I have a whole page for myself, but I put him first.
Good.
To say, hey, we're good. And then he threw a little jab at me on text, a couple times, like we're good. So I now refuse to talk about that issue outside the text anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come to you now and be like, can you believe that so-and-so? Because now I'm taken out of the room.
Yeah, it's not productive.
It's either going to be with us or it's going to be let go.
And to give Doug credit, I think that builds the foundation of your crew better when they could all resolve their own problems in the core of the company itself.
Well, we got to get comfortable though, right?
Yeah.
You said it. You got to have the trust within your team to know that they can say
what they're going to say.
The kind truth. And I don't know if you read Patrick Lencioni or not.
No. I'm going to now.
Yeah, absolutely amazing leader, and he says you have to tell the kind truth.
I love
And
that.
the kind truth is, Rob, you got broccoli in your teeth.
Yeah.
Well, how does that make you feel in the moment?
Well, I mean,
Awkward, right? Oh, I got broccoli in my teeth.
yes, but also grateful because of how you delivered it. You delivered it in a way that you were looking out for me.
Correct.
You weren't like, "Hey, fool."
You got broccoli in your
And
teeth.
then, "Hey, you guys, come here, check this out." He's got the biggest piece of, right?
Yeah. So when you can do that, you're looking at the long term.
Kind truth.
That is something that allows you to feel no more confident with yourself. You can trust me that I'm going to tell you the truth. But if you do that, hey man, if it's in construction, that estimate you put together or that decision you made about that change order, it caused this and this and this. I just want to let you know for the future, if you do it this way, maybe it's going to help you out. Well, he feels bad because he let the company down.
Yeah.
But going forward, he's going to be even stronger. He's going to be a better leader.
Yes.
You got to put the kind truth out there.
Man, that's great. Okay, so he's thrown so many gems at us, you guys. And I feel like a lot of that is kind of comprised in here, right? This is Build.
That's what we tried. Yeah.
So let's talk about your book. Doug Reitz wrote Build. It's called A Blueprint for Constructing Success and Leadership in Life. And I know we don't have time to talk about the whole book,
No.
but what are some key ideas that you want people to walk away with if they were to check this book out?
If you can think about your life, you drive around all the time and you see construction projects going up.
Yes.
We are in a very, very instantaneous society right now. And a lot of the stories in the book, I was trying to run a half marathon, one of them. You cannot train for a half a marathon in a day. It's going to take time. If you're going to build a building, have you seen, what's the name of the show where they build the house in a week?
Oh, it's one of those.
Extreme Makeover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Home Improvement.
Those houses are built so quickly. What's the quality going to be like? What's the longevity of that building, right?
Enough for the episode.
Enough for the episode. Get the tears out there, and they did something great for a person. But if you think about the relationships that you've had in your life, they haven't been built on, hey, let's go have a cup of coffee. You've had challenges. You've had things that are difficult that you've had to work through, and it builds trust.
Yeah.
So you have to build your relationships like you have to build a building. It has to have a strong foundation. It has to have a strong structure. You can't build that in a week.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get through that. And you're going to have challenges in your life. So a couple of things that are in the book are how to get through those challenges. You had talked about listen, plan, build is one of the concepts. And
Listen, plan, build.
Listen, plan, build. If you're going to do things right, so many people want to jump to the end. What's the quick fix? Hey, can I go on a diet? Can I take a pill? Listening is gathering information. It's learning about your situation, learning about what others think. Then together you put a plan about how you want to build and how you want to approach that challenge. And one of the things that happened to me, we were building Clovis North at the time, which is the largest educational complex in California to this day that was built
Clovis
at one
North
time.
Broncos.
Yep.
It is a beautiful facility.
Beautiful. And it was one of the best times of my life, one of the lowest times of my life, because I was on the largest educational complex in California. It was me, man. I was the one that was running this whole project.
So your construction management, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, general contractor, construction management. And I thought pretty highly of myself that I knew a lot, right?
And your timeout.
Yeah.
Untouchable.
Well, what I found out is that my biggest strength is being driven, wanting to accomplish things, wanting to get better, wanting to learn. I was driving so hard that it became a huge weakness. It got to the point to where the inspector wanted to kick me off the job because I was that over the top. And my boss called me in and said, hey, the inspector wants you off the job.
Now, did that catch you by surprise?
Totally.
But here's the thing, though. Referring back to your timeout and reading energy, usually you can pick up when somebody doesn't like you, or you didn't pick up anything on this guy, or you didn't care.
I didn't care because I knew I was right and nothing else anybody thought mattered. And I was in a really bad spot. My wife wanted a divorce. I wasn't home when I was home. It was all about work. It was all about accomplishing that goal. And that's the only thing I was seeing. I was blinded by having to get that job done. And that was not a good thing. So to be able to step back, Tim brought me in and he goes, yeah, you're doing the right things. You're just not doing it with your team. You're doing it all by yourself. And that's not sustainable. So he walked me through. Tim is his second dad to me. We still talk every couple of weeks now. He's just another amazing human being.
Is he local?
He's local.
Can we get him in here? I want to pick his brain.
Heck, just don't ask him about all the stories about me.
No. Well,
so he really
Doug will
pulled
be
me
protected.
out of that. Thank you. He really pulled me out of that, and that's really what started me thinking back more like it was when I was Timeout. You got to think about the people around you, consider your audience, and bring a team together, build a good team.
Wow.
So the only other thing that I would share with you about the book, and it's something you already do, as a builder, we'll build a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of that project, the doctors get to be builders too. They get to build health for the community. Teachers get to build knowledge. Pastors get to build faith.
Amen.
Everybody is a builder. And that's what I really want to get across in the book. You need to build for a cause bigger than yourself. And when you do that, you get to see a way bigger picture of what's going on in the world. You can help others achieve goals they never thought that they were going to be able to achieve. This is being a builder, and everything you do every day is an aspirational thought. Nobody can ever be a builder in everything they do every day because we're human beings.
Yeah.
We get off the path. We get emotional. We get anxious. When you can have something like the concept of this book to pull you back to thinking about others, like Virginia did, right? She was just there helping people because she loved it, and she was thinking about everybody else, not about herself.
Yeah.
Right?
But she made that place. She transformed that vibe. in there,
Obviously.
especially for the newcomers.
Just the way you were talking about her, she built something in you that was not there before you got to meet her. That's what being a builder is all about.
Wow. So I'm thinking now about this builder concept, and something crossed my mind recently. I didn't get to share it with you, Jim, yet, so we're going to go ahead and just do it on camera. I met two amazing ladies doing great work, and I'll describe them a little bit, but we're going to try to get them in here eventually. But the bigger picture is my friend Paul. He's in the nonprofit with me, right? I have a nonprofit in Stratford. We're in our 10th year, which is kind of like surreal to even say aloud, right? 10 years. But anyway, he introduced me to these two ladies, and we're on a Zoom together. One of them currently works for Google. The other works for, Google and Apple. But they met when they were both together at Twitter. Now, this is that's just part of their job. They also have this business, and they created a great curriculum, which I'll share with you a little bit later. But when they built this curriculum, which is skills that high school students are not learning in high school, that help them acquire their current success, right? So the soft skills, a lot of what's in Build. I'm going to share this book with them too, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right? And so I'm talking to Paul about how much they've accomplished. And Paul said, you know what was kind of amazing about them? He says, what? He goes, their level of patience and foresight. They got the entire state of Hawaii education system, school district, every school to purchase their curriculum.
Wow. It
was a 2-year process. For 2 years, Jim, it took them to get this deal closed.
They didn't give up.
Not only that, but he said they didn't waver or blink along the way, right? And I say that because Jim and I were kind of melting down. Was it last week? Because we're in a year now, and a couple months. We're like, what happened? Why aren't we where we want, right?
Huh?
And we look at a lot of the successful long-term podcasts, and they're in years 5 and 6 and year 10. And we're like losing it after year 1 because we've kind of forgotten a little bit that we need to build and be patient and believe in that process.
Okay, so let me tell you 2 stories. One, to give you a little bit of back up to what you're saying. When you look, I did some research on this. When you build, I'll back up even more. When you hit a challenge, you have to ask yourself, what do I need to build? That's the first thing you want to ask yourself. So when there was a creek way, way, way back in history, and they needed to get over that creek, they would bring the wagons through, right? And a lot of people would die. Pretty soon somebody said, hey, we're going to build a bridge. Those first little stone bridges were very simple. There wasn't a lot of technology. If you tried to span San Francisco Bay on day one with a Golden Gate Bridge, you didn't have the technology, you didn't have the knowledge, you didn't have the materials to be able to build that bridge. It's the same thing with solving a problem like the education. They just didn't have it yet. But over that 2-year time frame, they figured out how to build that bridge to get that educational curriculum into Hawaii. You're doing your podcast. You haven't figured out how to build that bridge to where you want to go yet. Yeah. It's going to happen. So when I wrote this book, how long did it take me to write the book?
I want to say at least.
It's 150 pages, right?
I would say 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
I got a book coach because I had never written a book in my life. I started writing because somebody told me that if you start writing, your thoughts are going to become more clear and you're going to be able to convey your thoughts more succinctly. So the more I wrote, I go, okay, well, maybe I should start writing. Maybe I should write a book. My book coach, Kathy, absolutely amazing, got me through all the times that I didn't think I was going to be able to keep writing. And then the publishers here local too, Everett O'Keefe owns Ignite Press. He walked me through the publishing process. I didn't have that knowledge. I'm a general contractor. I don't know how to write a book. But when you surround yourself with the right people, you can accomplish anything you want to, but you have to be humble enough to go, hey, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I need to ask for some help.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 years running a business, kids graduating, my son deploying to Afghanistan or to Iraq and Kuwait.
Wow. All
this stuff was going on, and it took my attention away from writing the book. But Kathy kept saying, Everett kept saying, that's okay, just keep going. Just keep going. And eventually, I didn't know if anybody was going to want to read the book. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not. I've had a lot of great feedback about it now. But I really went back to that time that I was not wanting to talk in front of people. I didn't think I was good enough to write a book. And that was something that was holding me back. I was like an imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Now that I've written it, I'm like, you know what? I want to write some more. Writing's fun. It's good. I was never a great writer in high school. I'd average grades.
But your identity changed.
It did.
Now you're Doug the writer. That's awesome.
It's a best-selling author. I never thought I would have best-selling author
Can we get
behind my name.
Wow.
That was
I haven't looked up the success level. You tell, little John. Wow.
That's impressive, Doug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Would you have thought I'd be a best-selling author?
Well, no, I mean, no.
No, seriously.
I mean, who really thinks like that? You know,
Had
who
no
really
idea.
thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to be a top 10 podcaster someday. But you know,
Right. You just keep plugging along.
Wow.
When you put in the work, it happens. So,
man, that's like a shot of energy and hope and spirit. I appreciate that.
oh no, man, I love what you do. Going back and listening to your podcast, you do a fantastic job. It's just going to be, you're going to hit that spark, and it's going to be great.
I think one of the things that I could add to that, if you don't mind, is not only are you building success and trust and all these other things we just talked about, but I personally think our podcast will succeed. Your business will succeed based on just having fun. If what you're doing is not fun, like I don't think I would ever consider retiring as an educator if I didn't have fun. You know, if I would still be in TV. I started losing that fun feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if that makes a big part of it. Like if you just stop having fun and now you're stuck with bills and everything else, you hate your job, you hate your life, you hate everything else going on. And I think that really adds to it because not to say I'm just downplaying this podcast, I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't having fun.
I think you said that last
I've said
Friday
it very
too.
much to you, yes. And I really
I'm always melting down with this guy, and he's always like, "Hey, dude, look," because he's not a rah-rah cheerleader type, even though he's a mascot, right?
Yeah.
But he silently does all these things that say, "Hey, I'm in."
Yeah.
Right. And he's always reminding me, like, look,
Well,
dude.
and we've off camera we talked about this, but this set turned into an idea, a thought. You were doing it in your house at home, which was fine because he had a vision.
Mhm.
And then I was saying, well, we both talked about it. Let's make that vision a little bit bigger and use upstairs here.
Yep.
And now, if you're willing to drive and do this, then it turned into this beautiful setup. And so, but I don't look at this as work. I look at this as fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's an investment, sure, but it's time invested. But I'm still playing as a kid. You know, whoever got to build a playhouse when you were younger? Oh, I was building wood in here thinking,
It's a nice playhouse,
no one's really gonna know that nail went in cricket. Who cares? You know, whatever. So, but yeah,
But
you gotta have fun.
I got hit about a year ago. I got really, really, really down. And when I bought the company from Mark, as COVID hit, 3 months later, COVID hit, the world shut down.
And you, oh, man.
Yeehaw, right? Welcome to ownership. And that hit. Then all the delays, then all the inflation. It was one thing after another. We would lose jobs here because the money went away, the inflation rates, whatever was happening politically with COVID, the market couldn't get supplies. It just felt like we kept getting hit in the face. We wanted to grow our volume. So we've grown now from 15 million a year to 80 million a year over 10 years.
Wow.
And so I've owned the
That
company
is
for 4 years now.
Yeah.
But I was at the I've been at the company for 10.
Oh,
And we did
okay.
a slow transition. And everything was great until I purchased the company, and then it was like setback after setback after setback. The great resignation, where everybody was leaving their job either to go home or change industries, it was tough. And to get hit in the face with that every day and still want to believe in your culture, we have now come out the other side of that. But I can't tell you enough. It was hard. It was really hard. And I got to thank my wife, and I got to thank Cole and Joe and Donette. All of us hit a wall at some point, but you got to have people around you that will pick you back up, get you over that wall, and keep going. And we all hit the wall at one point, and we all had to support each other. Yeah.
Wow. You know, I think I've shared this quote with you before, but the one that comes to mind talks about if you want to go fast,
Go slow.
It
You
says,
go slow to go fast.
yeah, well, this one said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes.
And that's been very true for a lot of things that I've taken on long term.
Mhm.
And when I think back to that, the 10 years of the nonprofit I told you about, reestablishing Stratford, there was 1 year, I don't know if I ever told you this, Jim, where I just had to focus on family and marriage because so much had been into the nonprofit. And at that point, I said, guys, I got to step down and refocus on the family. And I left the nonprofit. I don't remember if it was a 6-month period or maybe longer.
Mhm.
And during that time, they carried on
That's awesome.
the work without me. And then I came back. We never reached that 10-year mark if I tried to do that nonprofit by myself.
Yep.
It would have shut down during that breakdown when I hit that wall. So the fact that you're telling me everybody hit the wall at different times meant that someone else picked up,
They did.
and that's going far
Mhm.
versus going alone.
One of the biggest analogies, I'll give you two. If you're playing football and somebody fumbles the ball, the rest of the team doesn't go, whoa, dude, you fumbled the ball. Everybody
Oh,
runs to the ball.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's going to fumble the ball every once in a while, and somebody's going to have to run to it, pick it up. That's just part of being a team.
Yeah.
So 2-3 years ago at Thanksgiving, Nolan was home. That's my son, in the Army. And we were talking about being scared to step into the unknown. And part of it was about the book. You know, if you don't really think you can do it, how do you make that step? So he stood me up in front of the family, and he goes, okay, we're going to breach a door right now. I'm going to tell you how we breach a door. And if you've all watched all the shows, everybody will put their hand on the back of the person in front of them. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's just contact. It's good. When the breach goes off, he goes, if you're on point, you've been trained to go into that room. You know there's going to be danger in that room, but you don't know what it is. Even the most seasoned professional who's done it over and over and over will hesitate when that breach goes. When the boom goes off, the door blows, they push. It's not a shove. It's just, we're all going in together. We're all here. And they push each other through that door.
Oh, yeah.
You need somebody that's on your side that will I've got confidence in you. Let's get in there and get that job done.
Yeah.
And once you get across the threshold, that first step, your training kicks in and you're good. But it's that hesitation of the unknown that will stop you from taking that step.
That's a great visual. I'm going to use that in class.
What's the now, Robert? We do this all the time.
Yeah.
He just said another bumper sticker with the football. What was it? Everyone
runs to the ball.
Yeah, when everyone fumbles, you just need to have a team that helps go after the ball. Whatever he said.
That's a long bumper sticker.
I know it is. But we have guests on here that say these phenomenal quotes.
Yes,
I said we need a wall somewhere that we could put the quotes
my
on.
God.
Yeah, I told you.
We're doing that.
Yeah, so
We're doing that.
Figure what we'll have to go back and watch it.
Okay.
But you just said a great bumper sticker that I'm like, we need to add that to our list. So
When one guy fumbles, the whole team jumps on the ball.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to pull this up before I forget.
Okay.
But this was a Instagram. I shared the picture with my friend earlier today, and it's Luka. Is it pronounced Doncic? Doncic, the basketball guy, NBA.
Oh.
Luka, Doncic is the name, and he had a quote that he shared about playing sports because Jim was talking about making things fun, right? And why can't I find Eric right now? Okay. And so I'm going to read this quote to you, and then you guys tell me your thoughts on this because this is about keeping things fun so that people continue to do things long term. There's the visual there.
Okay.
Are you able to get that, Jim?
I can
we'll get
zoom in.
later.
Yeah, I can zoom
Okay.
in.
So here's the quote. Kids are walking away from basketball and other sports because we replace joy with pressure. When we treat young players like pros, we lose the friendship, the growth, and the fun that makes sports special. This has to change. And so when you take the fun out of something and just make it all about the pressure and making the numbers and the subscribers and making sure that the content, right, you lose what keeps us going. And I feel like, I made that mistake to some degree with my kids in sports.
Mm-hmm.
My two sons, if they were ever to watch one of these episodes, they'd be like, Dad, yes, right? But I think that's important also, even as adults, to make sure we keep things fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Jim, I don't know how long ago you did this, but you kind of said, hey, I just like hanging out with you. I like our friendship, and I haven't seen you this often, this consistently since we started this show.
Over 10 years. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
we had big gaps in our friendship.
And now, we see each other at least once a week, if not, twice. And when he reminds me of that, that's what is going to keep this thing going. Because behind it all, there is fun, there is friendship, there is excitement. And I'm getting to meet all his friends that I wouldn't get to meet otherwise and have deep conversations. Because if we were all at a party or hang out, oh, hey, Doug, how your timeout? And then I'd miss the author, I'd miss the build, the deeper conversation. And when I thought about what I wanted to really do with life on a long term, I started to think back to what I used to do on the bus on the way to the game or in the public park. And my friends made fun of me all the time for doing this, but I would like trap somebody in a corner and I would pick their brain on random things that people don't ask about. And they're like, bro, why do you want to know, you've never met this guy. Why are you so intrigued with his life story? Because I would pull something from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was intriguing to me. And then I found out through talk shows and when you watched Arsenio Hall back in the day. Remember, woo, woo.
Woo, woo. Yeah.
That was perfect for Timeout, right? Did you ever do that?
Oh, absolutely. That was the time Arsenio was
Let's
in.
get busy.
Yep.
So anyway, you watch shows like that, and he would take these celebrities that I would just be dying to meet, and he got to talk to him for like 20 minutes and ask questions that he really wanted to know that the audience wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the dream job, and that's kind of where we're at right now. You know?
You're so curious. That's your like superpower. The curiosity that you have, the questions that you're coming up with, it makes people feel like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's just have a conversation. Yeah. And the podcasts that people listen to nowadays, there's not a lot of conversation. It's about the facts and having a format and doing what
Here's
you're
the
supposed
book.
to do, right? Yeah, let's
Sell
talk
the
about
book.
chapter 6. So this is a lot of the concepts that are in the book are just general leadership principles. I'm not the first one to come up with it. I'm just saying it in a different way
Yeah.
that relates to how I feel. And you're talking about the same thing, same concepts, but asking questions and learning about people, that's what gets you fired up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've always said that, and I've said this several times, but
Thank you.
everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Especially military, whether you're in construction, whether you're an educator, with anything, everybody has a story. And I still kind of get a chuckle inside when you'll turn and look at me like, I didn't know that about you. And I'm like, man, dude, you don't know everything about me. Jeez.
I want to at some point. You know what's funny is that sometimes it gets used against me, right? Because, your friends like to give you a hard time. And so I don't know if I've ever shared this story, but I was at Menlo College. That's where I went to school. And I met one of my best friends there, Mike Esparza. And he's a prankster. Like, you have to be on your toes with this guy, right? You've met Mike. And so we were in his truck, and this was like 90s when you would still ride in the back of the truck, right? And it was still legal.
It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we would take runs to Taco Bell. And on the way back from Taco Bell, there was this guy, and he looked like he was kind of down and out. And I'm like, Mike, pull over. He's like, what? And go, let's pick him up. So we picked this guy up, and we put him in the back, and his name was Floyd, and he was kind of down and out, kind of had a Southern accent, right? And so I start to do my Rob thing. Now, this is in the 90s, I'm doing it, right? But the back window to the truck was open, the cab. So Mike's driving and looking straight ahead. Little did I know he's absorbing everything I'm asking Floyd, right? And Floyd was a little bit intoxicated, right? And so Floyd's like, yeah, I'm from Louisiana, trying to do my thing now. And he's got this kind of accent, and he's burping, kind of reminded me of the town drunk from Mayberry.
Oh, yeah, Otis.
Otis, yeah. He's kind of Otis, type. Real friendly. Didn't get any kind of negative vibe from him, but just down on his luck. I gave him a few tacos, and he was on his way. But I had picked his brain on little things along the way just out of curiosity. So I go to work the next day at the bagel shop, right? I worked at the bagel shop. Shout out to Posh Bagel, Santa Cruz Avenue, Menlo Park. And I'm at work, and I get a phone call, and they're like, hey, Rob, there's somebody on the line for you. All right. And I was a shift manager at the time. Rob, Posh Bagel, can I help you? Yeah, this is Floyd. I'm like, Floyd? Yeah, yesterday. Remember we was in the truck together? Yeah. I'm looking for a job, man. Can you help me out with the job? And I'm like, well, yeah, Floyd. And he goes, hold him. Right? So he's clearly intoxicated, and he's insisting that he come in for an interview right now. And I'm like, I'm going to lose my job because Floyd wants to come in intoxicated, right? Mike was Floyd. The voice, the background. And I'm like, how did you know so much? He goes, you were asking him all these questions and turned it again. I was so nervous for like 20 minutes. And he had the voice down, everything. But
that's awesome.
But the only reason he was so convincing is because he took all of my detailed questions and turned them on me. Never
That's
again,
cool.
Mike.
That's cool.
Never again.
That's a good friend right there.
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
You're a good friend.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in
No
on
problem.
such short notice. And
Not a problem.
best-selling author, you guys, in a matter of days. Here's the key. If you really want to get a great guest, you got to upset your friend. You got to tell him off a little bit, and then he'll turn around and light a fire. No,
Out of love. Do it out of love.
I love you, Jim.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, when you get a chance, I want you to check out Build, a blueprint for constructing success and leadership in life. This is Doug Reitz. You can find this on
Amazon.
Amazon?
Straight on Amazon. Yeah.
We're going to add his link to our description. As always, Jim loves it when I ask you guys to like and subscribe. I enjoy it as well. I just don't remember as well as he does because I'm all intrigued with everything. Doug, thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This was absolutely a fantastic experience. It really was.
Man, you guys, Timeout said that
Yeah, we love hearing that. We love hearing that. From Doug, the author and construction owner. Oh, and Timeout.
Yeah.
That's
Author, construction owner, father, amazing man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, and guys, we're going to sign out now. Thank you for watching once again. And as always, we sign out with a love, peace, and chicken grease. This is RobLive, and we're out.